Mas. Materi hari ini tentang vektor. Nanti akan disampaikan oleh kelompok 11. Baik, mungkin bisa langsung kita mulai perkuliahan pada hari ini. Kita awali dulu dengan berdoa. Berdoa dipersilakan. Berdoa selesai. Kelompok 11 ini hanya 2 orang ya kalau nggak salah ya. Damar sama Yusuf.
Berdua dong. Iya, Ibu.
Baik, silakan kelompok 11 bisa memulai presentasinya.
Oke. Eh, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, Ma'am Mimi, Miss Mimi, and everyone. Today, we, Group 11, will present about vector. Next slide, please, Damar. Oh yeah, before we start the presentation, we want to thanks to Miss Mimi for the opportunity to present our topic today. There is a member in this group. There is Muhammad Damar Fatih as my group mate, and me, Muhammad Yusuf Firmansyah Purba. Okay, next slide, please, Damar. Okay. There is table of contents of our presentation. For the first section is introduction and the concept of vector. Next section is mathematical structure. The next section is representation of vectors. And the next section, magnitude of a vector, types of vectors, operations of on vectors, and quiz. Okay, next slide, please, Damar. Okay, for the first section is introduction. Next, please. Okay. What are vectors? A vector is a mathematical object used to represent any quantity that has both magnitude and how large it is and direction, which way it points. You can think of a vector as an arrow, like the picture on the right. You can think of a vector as an arrow. The length of an arrow represents the magnitude. The arrowhead shows the direction. Vectors are fundamentally different from scalars. While scalars only describe how much, for example, temperature 25 degrees Celsius, vectors describe both how much and which way. For example, wind blowing 20 kilometers per hour toward the east. You can see the picture of vector on the right. Okay, next please, Damar. Okay, so why do we need vectors? Vectors are essential because many quantities in the real world depend on both magnitude and direction. If we try to describe them using scalars only, we would lose critical information. Imagine trying to describe the motion of a plane flying north to east at 500 kilometers per hour, and the force the force you apply to push a box at an angle, and the velocity of water flowing through a river. In each case, it is not enough to know how much only. We also need to know where it is going. Without vectors, such problems would be impossible to solve correctly. In short, vectors give us the full picture for quantities where direction matters. You can see on the picture for the example why vectors is essential. Okay, next slide please, Damar. Uh, scalar, scalar and vector, a fundamental distinction. Before diving deep into the world of vectors, it is crucial to distinguish between these two types of physical quantities that we encounter every day. Yeah, that is scalars and vectors. For the first one is scalars. Scalars are quantities that can be described only with a numerical value. Examples include temperature, length, and speed. They are scalars because they can be fully described with numbers that indicate how much, such as a temperature of 25 degrees Celsius, a length of 5 centimeters, or a speed of 75 kilometers per hour. And the second one is vectors. Vectors are quantities that require both magnitude and a direction for their complete physical description. Examples include force, velocity, acceleration, displacement, and momentum. So the difference between a scalar and a vector is that a vector quantity has both direction and magnitude, while a scalar has only magnitude. You can see on the picture on the right, there is a example of scalars and vectors. Okay, thank you, Damar. Okay, next slide, please. A real life example of scalar and vector. When we say the temperature of a room is 25 degrees Celsius, we are only telling how much heat there is. The number 25 degrees Celsius is just a value without any direction. That means temperature is a scalar quantity. It has only magnitude, but no direction. On the other hand, when we say the wind is blowing at 15 kilometers per hour toward the east, we give two important pieces of information. For first piece is magnitude, that is speed. The the value is 15 kilometers per hour, and the direction is toward the east. This makes wind velocity is a vector quantity because it has both magnitude and direction. The direction matters a lot. Wind blowing at 15 kilometers per hour is very different from wind blowing at the same speed westward. For example, it affects how airplanes or ships navigate. Next slide, Damat. Okay. for this section is concept of a vector. Concept of a vector. In simple terms, a vector is a quantity that has both magnitude and direction. You can think of a vector as an arrow, like the picture on the right. The length of the arrow represents the magnitude, how big the quantity is, and the direction in which the arrow points shows the direction of the quantity. And there is part of a vector. A vector is often represented as a directed line segment and has four pieces. First is a tail as starting point. The second is a head as ending point, where the arrow points. The third is a direction, which is indicated by the arrowhead. And the last is length, which represents its magnitude. So you can see for the detail of the representation of vector on the picture on the right. It's like that. Okay. Next, please, Damar. Okay. Next is the visual idea of a vector. One of the best ways to understand a vector is to think of it graphically as an arrow, like before. Yeah, the starting point of the arrow is called the tail. But in this picture, you can see that the tail is point A. Then the ending point of the arrow is called the head. For this picture is point B. The length of the arrow corresponds to the magnitude of the vector, and the orientation of the arrow shows the direction of the vector. For example, imagine an arrow drawn from point A has components or is equal to 1, 2, 2 point B, 4, 4, 6. This arrow represents a vector AB, which indicates both how far part A and B are, that is magnitude, and in which direction you must move from A to reach B. In mathematical representation, we can represent this vector AB as vector AB is equal to the difference of XB and XA and the difference of YB and YA. In this example, vector AB is equal to the difference of 4 and 1 and the difference of 6 and 2. So the vector AB is equal to 3, 4. Thus, the vector points 3 units to the right and 4 units upward. Okay. Next slide, please, Damar. Okay, next section is mathematical structure of a vector. Next slide, please. Okay, mathematical structure of a vector. To facilitate calculation and representation, a vector is typically expressed in terms of its components along the coordinate axis. This structural form is known as the mathematical structure of a vector. Okay, there is components of a vector. In a Cartesian coordinate system or rectangular coordinate system, a vector is decomposed into projections along each axis. In two-dimensional space or two dimensions, a vector is represented by its components along the x-axis and y-axis. In three-dimensional space, an additional component along the z-axis is included. So in two-dimensional space, we can write vector or represent vector like that the vector v is equal to v1, v2. And in three-dimensional space, we can write vector v as vector v is equal to v1, v2, v3. There is a picture about vector, about representation of a vector with components of a vector in Cartesian coordinate system. For the left picture is in two-dimensional space, and the right picture is vector in three-dimensional space. Here, v1, v2, and v3 are real numbers representing the scalar components of the vector along each respective axis. These components convey the displacement of the vector along each dimension of this space. Okay, next slide, please, Damar. Okay. 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 On this slide, there is notations of vectors. Vectors are commonly represented in several notational forms. There is four notations of a vector. For the first one is arrow notation. You can see on the slide on the screen how to write the vector. So the vector, for the example, vector v, the vector v with arrowhead. You can write the vector v with arrowhead. Arrow notation, used frequently in mathematical and physical texts. For the second one, boldface notation. So we can write vector with the bold style. Okay, boldface notation, often utilized in printed materials to distinguish vectors from scalars. The third one is component form. We can write vectors with component form like before slide like this, v1, v2, or v1, v2, and v3 with the parentheses or brackets. This form directly expresses the vector's components, which are essential for performing algebraic operations. And the last one is unit vector form. In unit vector notation, a vector is expressed as a line combination, a linear combination of orthogonal unit vectors. So we can write the vector with like vector v is equal to v1 vector I plus added to v2 vector j added to v3 vector k, or with both style. On the top is arrow notation and the bottom is boldface notation. Okay. Please, next slide, Damar. The next section is representation of a vector. This section will be presenting by my groupmate Damar. For Damar, the time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Yusuf, for the opportunity. There is representation of a vector. Depending on their properties and the context in which they are used, vectors can be classified into several types. The following is a systematic description of the most common types of vectors encountered in mathematics and physics. Number one, geometric vectors. Geometric vectors is a fundamental concept in mathematics and physics used to represent quantities that have both magnitude and direction. It is represented by a directed line segment in a plane or in space that consists of an initial point and a terminal point. The length of the segment represents the magnitude, while the orientation indicates the direction. Geometric vectors can be freely translated in space as long as their magnitude and direction remain unchanged. You can look the picture. There is initial point and there is a terminal point from a geometric vectors. For example, the geometric vector AB is represented by a directed arrow starting at point A and ending at point B. This is a vector AB in the picture, starting at point A and ending at point B. The next is number two, component vectors. A component vector is represented by an ordered set of numbers called components, which correspond to projections along coordinate axes. In two dimensions, vector v is equal to open bracket v1, v2, close bracket. In three dimensions, vector v is equal to open bracket v1, v2, v3, close bracket. We can see on the picture for the representation of vector in Cartesian coordinate. This picture is the representation in 2D, two dimensions. And the right picture is the presentation in 3 dimensions. The components can be positive, negative, or zero, depending on the direction of the vector in space. Component vectors are used for performing vector operations such as addition, subtraction, and scalar multiplication. For example, there is vector b is equal to 1, minus 2, and 3. Next, number 3, algebraic vectors or standard unit form vector. Every vector into or three-dimensional space can be expressed as a linear combination of the standard unit vector. These are special vectors that point along the coordinate axis and have a magnitude of exactly 1. In other words, a vector is composed of its components along the x, y, and z axes, each multiplied by a unit vector pointing in that direction. In the Cartesian coordinate system, the standard unit vectors are defined as follows. In two dimensions, vector I is equal to open bracket 1, 0, close bracket. the points along the x-axis. In the picture, this is I vector, the points 1 and 0 along the x-axis. And the vector j is equal to 0, 1, and the points along the y-axis. And in the 3 dimensions, vector I is equal to 1, 0, 0, and the points along the x-axis that is in the picture. The vector j is equal to 0, 1, 0, the points along the y-axis. And the last vector k is equal to 0, 0, 1, the points along the z-axis, z-axis. Each of these vectors has a magnitude of 1. Magnitude of vector I is equal to magnitude of vector j is equal to magnitude of vector k is equal to 1. There is if a vector v into dimensional space has components. Vector v is equal to v1, v2, then it can be written as vector v is equal to v1 I vector I plus v2 vector j. If a vector v in three-dimensional space has components, vector v is equal to open bracket v1, v2, v3 close bracket, then it can be represented as vector v is equal to v1 vector I plus v2 vector j plus v3 vector k. And for example, in 2 dimensions, let vector v is equal to open bracket 3 and minus 2 close bracket. Then vector v is equal to 3 vector I minus 2 vector j. This means the vectors goes 3 units in the positive x direction and 2 units in the negative y direction. And in 3 dimensions, let vector v is equal to open bracket 2, 5 minus 1 close bracket. Then vector v is equal to 2 vector I plus 5 vector j minus 1 vector k. This means the vector goes to units in the positive x direction, 5 units in the positive y direction, and 1 unit in the negative z direction. For the next, number 4, matrix form vectors. Vectors can also be represented as matrices. Representing vectors are as matrices, especially column matrices, makes it easier to perform computation. A vector, a vector can be considered a special type of matrix with only one row or one column. For vector p is equal to bracket v1, v2 bracket into the space, into dimensional space. The row vector is vector v is equal to open bracket v1, v2 bracket, and the column vector is vector v is equal to in the first row v1 and v2 on the second row. For a vector v in 3-dimensional space, the row is vector v is equal to v1, v2, v3. And the column vector is vector V is equal to V1 for the first row, V2 for the second row, and V3 for the third row. For example, in two dimensions, given vector V is equal to 0 minus 2, the matrix form is vector V is equal to 3 and minus 2, and or the column vectors like this. In three dimensions, given vector V is equal to 2 minus 1, 5, and then the matrix form is vector V 2, 5, minus 1. This is row vectors, and this is a column vector. Okay, that's my presentation. I will give back to Yusuf.
Okay, thank you, Damar, for the presentation about sum of section. Okay, for this session is magnitude of a vector. Please, next slide, Damar. Okay, magnitude of a vector. The magnitude of a vector is the length or size of the vector It tells us how long the vector is without considering its direction. Think of the vector as an arrow. The magnitude is the length of that arrow. The magnitude of vector v, the length of vector v, or the norm of vector v, is determined using the Pythagorean theorem. In two-dimensional space, we can write the magnitude of vector v with this, like this. The magnitude of vector v is equal to the square root of the sum of v1, the sum of v1 to the power of 2 and v2 to the power of 2. And in three-dimensional space, we can write the magnitude of vector v like this. The magnitude of vector v is equal to the square root of the sum of v1 to the power of 2 added to v1 to the power of 2, v2 to the power of 2, and v3 to the power of 2. We can see on the picture on the right for the representation of the magnitude of vector v in Cartesian coordinate. Cartesian coordinate for the top picture is in two-dimensional space, and bottom picture is magnitude of vector in three-dimensional space. Okay, next, please, next slide, Damar. Okay, there is two examples. One, find the magnitude of vector v is equal to 3, 4. The solution is the magnitude of vector v is equal to the square root of the sum of for this one is x to the power of 2 and y to the power of 2. So we substitute the components. Then the magnitude of vector v is equal to the square root of the sum of 3 to the power of 2 and 4 to the power of 2. is equal to the square root of the sum of 9 and 16 and equals the square root of 25 is equal to 5. So the magnitude of vector v is 5. Then the second example, find the magnitude of vector v is equal to 2, -1, and 2. So the solution is the magnitude of vector v is equal to the square root of the sum of x to the power of 2 and y to the power of 2 and z to the power of 2. We can substitute the components. Then the magnitude of vector v is equal to the square root of the sum of 2 to the power of 2 added to and -1 to the power of 2 and 2 to the power of 2 is equal to the square root of the sum of 4 and 4, 1 and 4 is equal to the square root of 9 is equal to 3. So the magnitude of the vector is 3. Okay, next slide, please, Damar. Okay, for the next section is types of vectors. Next slide, please. Okay, the first types of vector is zero vectors. A zero vector, also called a null vector, is a vector whose magnitude is 0. This means that its length is exactly 0 and its starting point or initial point and ending point or terminal point are the same. For the notation, the zero vector is commonly written as 0 arrowhead or bold 0 or even 0 right arrow. You can see on the screen for the notation. In component form, it appears as for into dimension. It appears as the 0, 0, yeah, 0, 0. And in 3 dimensions, we can write as 0, 0, 0, 0 or 000. And the direction of a zero vector. One of the important characteristics of a zero vector is that it has no defined direction, because there is no movement from one point to another. However, in some contexts, such as algebraic manipulation, the zero vector is considered to be in every direction simultaneously or simply treated as directionless. We can see on the picture on the right, there is two type of vector for the comparison. For the top picture is non-zero vector, whereas that is commonly representing of a vector with representing with an arrow, and the bottom picture is zero vector. We can representing it just with dot, not with an arrow. So the starting point the starting point is same with the ending point. Okay, next slide, please, Damar. Okay, for the second types of vector, there is unit vectors. A unit vector is a vector that has a magnitude or length of exactly 1 unit. It is used to indicate direction only, regardless of the actual magnitude of the original vector. Unit vectors are especially important when you want to express a direction clearly without affecting the size of the vector. A vector A is called a unit vector in the direction of A. Oh, so there is different notation. For the first notation, a vector A with head, we can say the first notation. Yeah, please, Damar. This notation with a vector A head, and the next notation is A arrowhead. Yeah, like that. So a vector for the next notation is A arrowhead. Okay, so a vector A head is called a unit vector in the direction of a vector A if magnitude of A head of U, or we can say A head, the notation, the A head notation with unit vector A, so that we can call this as unit vector A. If magnitude of unit vector A is equal to 1. In general, if vector V is any non-zero vector, then the unit vector in the same direction as vector V is given by, maybe there is a mistake. There's a writing mistake about unit vector. For this vector U, the notation should be written as unit vector. So the notation must be U head, not U arrowhead. Okay, so the vector U, the unit vector U is equal to vector V over magnitude of vector V. For the example, vector V is equal to 2, 2, and -1. So we can find the magnitude of the vector. So the magnitude of vector V is equal to the square root of the sum of 2 to the power of 2 and 2 to the power of 2 and -1 to the power of 2 is equal to 9 is equal to the square root of 9 is equal to 3. And then we can find the unit vector U with the formula of unit vector. So the unit vector U is equal to vector V over the magnitude of vector V is equal to 2. This one is equals the components of vector V that is 2, 2, and negative 1, and over 3. Or we can say is equal to open bracket 2, 2, and negative 1, close bracket, over 3. And the result is open bracket 2 over 3, 2 over 3, and negative 1 over 3. Okay, that is the result of unit vector U. Okay, next place. Okay, for the next types of vector is position vectors. The position vector is a vector that has its starting point at position O, which is the point is 0, 0 on the graph. Its terminal point lies at point A, A1, A2, or at any point or at any other point besides O, denoted as vector OP, where O is equal to 0, 0 or 0, 0, 0 is the origin, and the point P is equal to A1, A2, or X, Y, and Z is the terminal point. The vector OP is called the position vector of the point P with respect to the origin O. We can see on the picture on the right on the top that there is vector OP. Okay, and we can using distance formula. So the magnitude of vector OP, oh, sorry, there is what? Maybe okay. Sorry everyone, there is a human error from our group. Okay, maybe there is a connection error. Okay, thank you, Damar. So with using distance formula, we can find the magnitude of vector OP or vector R is given by vector, the magnitude of vector OP is equal to the square root of the sum of x to the power of 2, y to the power of 2, and z to the power of 2. In practice, the position vectors of points A, B, C, etc. with respect to the origin O are denoted by vector A, vector B, vector C, etc. respectively. So we can see on the picture on the right, on the bottom, there is an example for any other position vectors with any other point besides O, such as point A, point B, and point C. Okay, next slide, please, Damar. Okay. For the sec, for the okay, for the next types of vector is basis vectors. Basis vectors are a special type of vector used to define the direction of a coordinate system. These vectors are unit vectors, vectors of length 1, and point exactly along the coordinate axis. In two-dimensional space, we have two standard basis vectors. For the first one is vector I, that is equal to 1, 0 along the x-axis and vector j is equal to 1, 0, that is along the y-axis. Any vector a is equal to a1, a2 in for the symbol, we can call this as two-dimensional in real space. So any vector a is equal to a1, a2 in two-dimensional real space can be written as a linear combination of the basis vectors with this representation. So we can write this as vector A is equal to a1 vector I added to vector added to a2 vector j. In three-dimensional space, we can use three standard basis vectors. For the first one is vector I is equal to 1, 0, 0 along the x-axis. The second one is vector j is equal to 0, 1, 0 along the y-axis, and the last one is vector k is equal to 0, 0, 1 along the z-axis. Any vector a is equal to a1, a2, a3 in three-dimensional real space, we can call it like that, can be written as vector a is equal to a1 vector I added to a2 vector j and added to a3 vector k. Okay, next slide. Okay, uh, there is a not a small note about vector. So the vector values a, b, c, and d are equal in size. The value of vector e is smaller than the other four vectors. And from the picture above, from the picture on the left side, sorry, there is a mistake about writing. Okay, it can be concluded that A is equal to C because the values and direction of both vectors are the same. And A is equal to negative B because the value is the same, but the direction is the opposite. A is not equal to D because the value is the same, but the direction is different. And last is D is not equal to E because the value and the direction are different. Okay, that is that's not about vector. Okay, next slide please, Damar. Okay, for the next section is operations on vector. Next slide, Damar. Okay. For the first uh, part of this section is addition. Addition. Given two vectors a and given two vectors, vector a and vector b, we form there's some vector a added to vector b as follows. We translate vector b until its tail coincides with the head of vector a. Then the directed line segment from the tail of vector A to the head of vector B is the sum vector. That is vector A added to vector B. Okay, next slide, Damar. There is a law addition and the associative law. Law addition. The commutative law states the order of addition doesn't matter. This law is also called the parallelogram law. For the law is written like that. Vector A added to vector B is equal to vector B added to vector A. Or we can pronounce it like the sum of vector A plus vector B is equivalent to the sum of vector B plus vector A. We can see on the picture on the right, on the top, there is a law addition or the commutative law, or we can call it as the parallelogram law. And second one on this slide is the associative law, which states that the sum of three vectors does not depend on which pair of vectors is added first. So for the for the associative law, we can write it as open bracket vector A added to vector B close bracket added to vector C is equal to vector A added to open bracket vector B added to vector C close bracket, or we can pronounce it like the sum of vector A plus vector B is added to vector C is equivalent to vector A is added to the sum of vector B plus vector B. For the we can see on the picture on the right, on the bottom, there is a picture about the associative law. A plus vector, yeah. We can see the associative law picture. Okay. Next slide, Damar. Okay. On this slide, we can divide it the addition of vector into space and tree space. Addition into space. Adding algebraic vectors can be done by summing the components of the layout. If vector A is equal to A1, A2, and vector B is equal to B1, B2, then vector A added to vector B is equal to A1 added to B1, A2 added to B2. And addition in tree space. And the second one is addition in tree space. The addition and subtraction of vectors in tree space are the same as vectors in two space. So we can write the addition like on this slide. There is vector A added to vector B is equal to the components of vector A, that is A1, A2, A3, added to the components of vector B, that is B1, B2, B3, is equal to the components of the addition of the factors. That is A1 added to B1, A2 added to B2, and A3 added to B3. Okay, thank you, Damar. Next slide, please, Damar. Okay, on this slide, there is a subtraction of factors. Subtraction. It is defined subtraction as addition with the opposite of a factor. We can write it as factor A. Factor B is subtracted from factor A is equal to factor A added to negative factor B. Or we can pronounce it like on the slide. There is factor A minus factor B is equivalent to factor A plus negative factor B. So we can see on the picture on the top on the text, there is subtraction of factors. So factor reduction applies the same as the sum, namely factor B is subtracted from factor A is equal to the components of the subtraction. That is B1 is subtracted from A1 and B2 is subtracted. Sorry, there is some noise. Yeah, there is some noise. Okay, so the component is B1 is subtracted from A1 and B2 is subtracted from A2. The subtraction of factors in 3 space are the same as factors in 2 space. So we can write it like on the slide. There is the factor B is subtracted from factor A is equal to the components of factor B, that is B1, B2, B3, is subtracted from components of factor A, that is A1, A2, A3, is equal to the components of the subtraction, that is B1 is subtracted from A1, B2 is subtracted from A2, and B3 is subtracted from A3. Okay, next slide, please, Damar. On this slide, there is a multiplication of factors with a scalar. That is which is will be representing by my group mate Damar. For Damar, the time is yours.
Thank you, sir, for the opportunity. And to explain the factor multiplication with scalar. A factor can be multiplied by a scalar. The scalar is real number and will produce a new factor. If factor V is a factor and K is a scalar, then the factor multiplication is scalar K is times factor V. In algebraic, factor multiplication into space P with scalar K can be formulated as scalar K times vector V is equal to K times V1 and K times V2. If V is a vector and K is a scalar, then the vector multiplication in 3 space can be formulated as scalar K multiplied by scalar K times vector V is equal to K times V1, K times V2, K times V3. And then next, here are some kinds of scalar product of K and vector V multiplication. Scalar K, K times vector V. If K is greater than 0, then the result vector is in the same direction as vector V. If K, scalar K is less than 0, then the result vector is opposite to the vector V. If scalar K is equal to 1, then the result vector is equal to the vector V. And the last, if K is equal to 0, then it produces as a 0 vector. Next is the product. The scalar multiplication of the vectors is also called the product of the columns and is written as vector A dot vector B. The scalar problem of vector A and B is done by multiplying the length of vector A and the length of vector B by cosine theta. Angle theta, which is the angle between vector and vector. There is a mistake. So, vectors A dot vectors B is equal to magnitude of vector A times magnitude of vector B times cosine theta. Or cos theta is equal to the product of the dot product of vector A and vector B over magnitude vector A times magnitude vector B. Next, or using the concept of multiplication of each element, suppose there are two vectors and the dot product can be calculated by vector A dot vector B is equal to A1 times B1 plus A2 times B2 plus A3 times B3, where theta is the angle between the vectors A and vectors B. If the two vectors A and B are perpendicular to each other, so theta is equal to 90 degrees, then we get the dot product of vector A and vector B is equal to 0. And if the two vectors A and B are parallel to each other, so theta is 0 degrees, then we get the dot product of vector A and vector B is equal to the dot product of vector A and vector B. Next is cross product. The easiest way to define cross products is to use the standard unit vectors, vector I, vector J, and vector K for a three-dimensional real space. If vector U is equal to U1, U2, U3 is equal to U1 vector I plus U2 vector J plus U3 vector J. And V is equal to V1, V2, V3 is equal to V1 vector I plus V2 vector J plus V3 vector K. Then vector U cross vector V is defined as vector U cross vector V is equal to open bracket U2 times V3 minus U3 times V2, and the difference is multiplied by vector I plus the difference of U3 times V1 and U1 times V3 is multiplied by vector J plus the difference of U1 times V2 and U2 times V1 is multiplied by scalar K, which is much easier to remember when you write it as a determinant. So the vector U cross vector V is equal to the determinant of matrix U2, U3, V2, V3 multiplied by vector I minus determinant of matrix U1, U3, P1, P3 is multiplied by vector J plus the determinant of matrix U1, U2, V1, V2 multiplied by scalar K, vector K. And then vector U cross vector V is equal to the determinant of a matrix with vector I, vector J, vector K in first row, U1, U2, U3 for the second row, and V1, V2, V3 for the third row. Next, properties of cross product. There are a whole lot of properties that follow from this definition. First of all, it is anti-commutative. Vector V cross vector U is equal to negative of the cross product of my vector U and vector V. So any vector crossing itself is zero. Like vector V cross vector V is equal to 0. It is bilinear, it is linear in its argument. So it distributes over addition and subtraction. 0 should act as 0, and you can pass scalar in and out of arguments. For the first, vector U cross open bracket vector V plus or minus vector W is equal to open bracket vector U cross vector V plus or minus open bracket vector U cross vector W plus bracket. The first equivalent is distributive property, and the second open bracket vector U plus or minus vector V close bracket cross vector W is equal to open bracket vector U cross vector W close bracket plus or minus open bracket vector V cross vector W close bracket. The second equivalent is distributive property 2. And the third, 0 cross vector V is equal 0. And also factor V cross 0 is 0. The third is cross product of the zero vector. And the last, C times the cross product of vector u and vector v is equal to C times vector u cross vector v is equal to vector u cross C times vector v. The last is multiplication by a constant. A couple more properties you can check from the definition or from the properties already found are that the cross product of vector u and vector v dot vector u is equal to 0, and the cross product of vector u cross x and vector v dot vector v is equal to 0. This implies that the vector u cross vector v is orthogonal to both vectors u and vectors v. And so it is orthogonal to the plane of vector u and vector v. So the result is 0. Next, length of the cross product. A direct computation, which we will omit, shows that determinant of the cross product vector u and vector v is equal to magnitude vector u times magnitude vector v times sine theta, where theta is the angle between the vectors u and vector v. Consider a triangle in 3 space where 2 of the sides are vector u and vector v. Next, the area of triangle. Taking vector u as the base of triangle, then the shape of the triangle is magnitude of vector v sine theta, where theta is the angle between u and vector v. Therefore, the area of this triangle is equal to a half times the magnitude of vector u times magnitude of vector v times sine theta, or the formula. This formula is equal to a half times magnitude of the cross product of vector u and vector v. In general, the area of any triangle is half the product of two adjacent sides and the sine of the angle between them. There is for the example area of triangle. Area of triangle is equal to, there's a formula, and then we have a magnitude of vector u is 2 and the square root of 3, and the magnitude vector v is equal to 4. So the area of triangle is equal to a half times 2 and the square root of 3 times 4 times sine theta, and is equal to a half times 2 and square root of 3 times 4 times the product of sine 60 degrees is a half and the square root of 3. So the result area of triangle is 6. And next, the area of parallelogram in the three-dimensional space. Now, consider a parallelogram in three space where two of the sides are vector u and vector v. Of course, if the triangle is double to a parallelogram, then the area of the parallelogram is magnitude uh, of the product, the cross product vector u and vector v. Thus, the norm of the cross product is the area of the parallelogram bounded by the vectors. We now have a geometric characterization of the cross product. The cross product vector u and vector v is the vector orthogonal to the plane of vector u and vector v, pointing away from it in the direction determined by a right-hand rule. And its length equal the area of the parallelogram whose sides are vector u and vector v. Note that vector u cross vector v is 0 if and only if vector u and vector v lie in a line that is they point in the same direction or the directly opposite direction. For example, area of parallelogram, the vector u cross vector v is equal to determine of matrix vector I, vector j, vector k, 3, 3, 1, 2, 2, 1, and is equal to determinant of matrix T 3, 1, 2, 1 times vector I minus determinant 3, 1, 2, 1 times J plus determinant of matrix 3, 3, 2, 2 times vector K. And is equal to open bracket 3 minus 2 of course bracket times vector I minus open bracket 3 minus 2 close bracket times vector j plus open bracket 6 minus 6 close bracket times vector k. And the result is I minus j and 0 times vector k. So the result is vector I minus vector j. And then the area of parallelogram, the formula, the magnitude of the cross product vector u and vector v is equal to the square root of the sum of 1 to the power of 2 and minus 1 to the power of 2 is equal to the square root of 2. Okay, thanks. Thank you. That's all from me. I will give back to you. So,
Okay, thank you, Damar. So that's all our topic today. Now it's time to quiz, but before that quiz time, we would like to ask to Miss Mimi about if there is any suggestion or addition. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Group 11, Yusuf and Dama. Thank you for your efforts in presenting quite a lot of materials. Yeah, just the two of you, but the material is quite a lot, I think. Okay, there are some addition from me about the vector materials. I think it was not in your presentation. Can you stop share? Okay, thank you. Okay. Hmm. If I'm not mistaken, you didn't tell about raw vector, plane vector, and normal vector, right?
Yes, Miss.
Please add this concept to your revision presentation. And for all of participants, please pay attention to this concept, yeah, because it was not in group 11 presentation. But raw vector is a vector that has only one row. For example, 3.2 for the two-dimensional vector, yeah, or 1.4 minus 1 for three-dimensional vector, and etc. Next, about plane vector. Plane vector is a vector that lies within a two-dimensional plane. And normal vector, often called the normal, just normal, to a surface, is a vector which is perpendicular to the surface at a given point. Ya, jadi kalian tahu ya tentang vektor garis, vektor bidang, dan juga vektor normal ya. Nah, itu kalau vektor garis kan vektor yang hanya memiliki satu garis ya. Jadi vektor yang sebenarnya tadi sudah dijelaskan di awal itu kan vektor garis ya, secara spesifik gitu ya disebutnya vektor garis gitu kan, bisa misalnya vektor U1 gitu sama dengan 3,2 gitu. Kemudian misalnya vektor U2 sama dengan 1,4, min 1. Nah, ini bebas berapa saja angkanya ya, tergantung besar dan arah vektornya misalnya seperti itu ya. Nah, kemudian yang kedua ada vektor bidang ya. Vektor bidang ini adalah vektor yang berada pada sebuah bidang ya, bidang dua dimensi gitu ya. Nah, sebenarnya untuk contohnya sama gitu ya. Sama X, Y tadi 3,2 misalnya, atau 1,4, min 1 gitu ya. Nah, tapi yang membedakan konsep vektor bidang dengan vektor garis adalah vektor bidang ini adalah vektor garisnya itu ada pada bidang seperti itu ya. Dan yang ketiga adalah vektor normal ya. Vektor normal itu adalah vektor yang tegak lurus ya dengan eh, bidang pada suatu titik seperti itu ya. Nah, jadi kalau seperti yang saya sampaikan ya, sebetulnya nanti ketika diujikan itu tentu nggak ada, maksudnya bukan nggak ada ya, tidak dituntut untuk bisa mengerjakan konsep-konsep matriks, vektor, apalagi yang kemarin udah itu bangun ruang, bangun datar gitu ya. Kemudian nanti ada tentang kalkulus kan ya, apa analisis kan, limit, eh, kemudian nanti pekan depan ada apa peluang statistika gitu ya. Nah, itu ya tentunya untuk perkuliahan 2 SKS ini kalian nggak dituntut untuk menguasai semua konsep dan prosedur pada materi-materi tersebut gitu ya. Yang jadi eh, fokus ya pada mata kuliah ini adalah bagaimana kalian menyampaikan konsep-konsep tersebut dalam eh, bahasa Inggris gitu ya, karena mata kuliahnya kan bahasa Inggris matematika seperti itu gitu ya. Jadi nanti saat dipelajari kembali itu pastikan ya kalau kalian memahami istilah-istilah penting, pengertiannya apa gitu ya, karakteristiknya seperti apa, dan mungkin contoh-contohnya gitu ya supaya lebih paham konsepnya. Itu ya, nanti kelompok 11 tolong ditambahkan tentang konsep ini ya di PPT-nya.
Baik, Mas Mimi. Terima kasih.
Ini kita mungkin waktunya masih ada sedikit ya. Sebetulnya sudah selesai sampai 9.40 ya, tapi
Iya,
bisa diperpanjang ya sampai 9.50. Silakan nanti masih ada waktu untuk kuis ya sekitar 5 menitan lagi ya supaya teman-teman juga berpartisipasi gitu ya. Dan mungkin sebelum ke kuis saya ingatkan kembali ya, untuk pekan depan itu dua kelompok ya yang maju, kelompok 12 dan 13. Tolong diatur pembagiannya sedemikian rupa gitu ya sehingga kita bisa selesai dua materi itu dalam satu pertemuan ya, dalam satu pertemuan. Jadi nggak usah terlalu banyak dicek lagi RPS-nya itu kalau tentang peluang dan statistika itu sebentar. Itu yang harus ada materinya itu tentang apa ya? Hmm, Probability and statistics itu tentang permutation, combination, graph, eh, eh, permutasi, kombinasi, grafik, tabel gitu-gitu ya. Jadi penyajian data maksudnya ya. Grafik, tabulation, mean, median, modus itu. Hanya itu. Maksudnya nggak usah terlalu kompleks pembahasan statistikanya. Ya, permutasi, kombinasi, grafik, tabulation, mean, median, sama modus itu. Nanti silakan dibagi kelompok 12 dan 13, eh, supaya proporsional seperti apa pembagiannya gitu ya. Dan kedua materi tersebut akan disajikan hanya dalam satu pertemuan ya. Jadi tolong diperhatikan juga manajemen waktunya. Mungkin itu sedikit tambahan ya dari saya untuk pertemuan hari ini. Silakan dilanjutkan kelompok 11 untuk memberikan kuis ya kepada teman-teman.
baik Bu. Oke, thank you Miss Mimi for the suggestion and the addition about today. Okay, please Damar. Okay, now is quiz time. Next slide, Damar. Okay, there is number one from the quiz. You can see on the screen. Vector A is equal to 3, 5, and 7, and vector B is equal to -6, 7, and 10. Then the result of then the result of vector AB is maybe okay. So uh, you you can answer this number for anyone who wants answer this number. You can raise hand or yeah, raise hand for this question. We will wait about just maybe 1 minute. Okay.
Oke, Alif ya. Mungkin satu nomor aja dulu ya.
Oke,
Nanti sisanya
Miss Mimi.
kalau ada waktu ya. Alif, silakan.
Iya, satu. Oke.
Okay, thank you, Miss Mimi and Yusuf. The result of vector AB is C. There is negative 9, 2, and 3. And the solution is we can subtract vector B and vector A. So negative 6 minus 3 and 7 minus 5 and 10 minus 7. So the result is C. Is correct?
Okay. So we can check the result, the answer. Okay, so the answer is C. Your answer is correct, Alif. So there is a solution about this question. Thank you, Alif, for the answer.
Thank you, Yusuf.
Jadi, yeah, thank you, Alif. Oke, untuk nomor-nomor selanjutnya apakah perlu dilanjut, Bu?
Sepertinya cukup ya karena kalian ada
Iya,
kuliah
Bu.
lagi ya. Mungkin
Iya.
jam 10. Baik,
Oke.
mungkin nanti bisa dibahas lain waktu atau boleh di-share nanti ke teman-teman langsung di-share aja ya jawabannya buat belajar gitu.
Oke, baik, Bu. Oke. Ya. Okay. Next slide to the last slide, please, Damar. Okay, thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone, and Miss Mimi. That's all from our group today. So, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Ya, Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank
Waalaikumsalam
you,
warahmatullahi
Levan, and all of participants in our meeting today. See you next week in the last meeting before final test. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Terima kasih.
Thank you.
Iya,
Thank you.
Thank you.